Aye, shepherd's pie. Greetings from the Philippines. I'm back for a coffee and a chat. Now today, I thought I'd tell you a little story about my time in China, or my nightmare in China. If you not watch the channel, you'll know I've done a lot of travelling. I've been to quite a few countries. I can say with total confidence, the country that I have disliked the most, my worst experience, the place I never want to go back to, is China. Cannot stand the place. Now, I'm certain there will be some people in the comments who disagree with me. There will be, well, I know people. I've got friends in Dumaguete who spent time in China. They love the place. We can only talk about our own experiences. And for me, China's not for me. 100%. There's not enough money. Well, there is enough money in the world to make me go back. Anyway, I wouldn't go back there. And I'll tell you why. Because I had an awful experience. Now, just to clarify, before I kick into the story, I don't actually know what my status is in China now. Whether I was banned, whether I'm still banned, whether I was deported. I suspect I was banned and probably still am banned. I was told I was banned. Now, in terms of being deported, I don't know, because as I'll get to the end, I was told not to come back and I was escorted onto the flight. So, you know, but I didn't get the deported stamp in my passport and I was just told not to go back there. So I don't know if, you know, I've never looked into it to see if I'm on some database or whatever, because I've got no intention of going back there. So it's irrelevant to me, really. But anyway, I'll tell you the story. I went to China twice. The first time was for a couple of days. The next time was for 2 weeks. As far as I'm concerned, 2 weeks, 2 days, 18 days of my life wasted. I had an awful experience over there. Now, as I say, some people have had different experiences. I'd usually caveat with saying, you know, it was just my experience. I'm sure there's some good people in China and all the rest of it. But forgetting my experience, I'm not a fan of Chinese culture. You know, in terms, I mean, yeah, the temples and the Chinese wall, that's all fantastic. But the way they treat animals, like, you know, eating dogs and the way they kill animals, you know, they've got no respect for animals. You know, when I used to watch the Thai news, they have this thing about they should be respected because they're a powerful country. You know, aside from my experience over there, China's not for me. Not in any shape or form. Anyway, so what were my experiences of China? Well, basically, when I was living in Thailand, as I've mentioned in previous videos, I got to the stage where I had been there so long on the old tourist visas that I was advised by one of the by our local immigration bureau that I should leave the country for a little while, you know, just to get a new passport and start again, because I had like several years of just tourist stamps and it was obvious to anyone I was living in the country. So they suggested that I left the country for a little bit and that I get a new passport, start again. So I had a good friend called Steve, who I've mentioned in the videos before. Sadly, he died of a stroke in the Philippines. But I originally went to Thailand with him and he ran out of money, so he had to go and live in Sweden. It's not Sweden, what am I talking about? In China. And he got a teaching job in a place called Harbin. Now, he was very happy there. And he had filled me with the idea gradually over the year that it was great over there, I should go over there, I'd love it, etc., etc. So when I realised that, or was advised to leave the country for a couple of months, I thought, well, why not go to China, teach English? Because that's what he was doing. I had my TEFL 120-hour certification from a few years before. I'd never taught English, but I was qualified to do it. So I thought, yeah, that would be the thing for me. So I applied for a job, got the job. The job was in a place called Darchin. I didn't do a lot of research. Should have done more in terms of where it was, what the area was like. I just saw it was close to Harbin. It ticked a few boxes. They sorted everything out. I say it was very quick. I did the interview online and they offered me the job straight away. So, you know, marvellous. So I went back to the UK, sorted out my Z visa because I had to apply to the Chinese embassy in the UK. Flew over to China. Now, I wasn't particularly excited about going to China. I thought it'd be a new adventure. China was not a place I had ever really wanted to go to before, but I thought, you know, give it a go. Do a bit of teaching. Maybe it's for me. We'll find out. When I got there, got snowed in Beijing. It was an awful experience. As soon as we literally got off the plane, started snowing, they shut the airport. And they shut the airport for 2 days. Now I've got no idea how long they kept it shut after that, because after 2 and a bit days, I just had enough. They did nothing, you know. And it should have been a warning sign. I shouldn't have gone back to China afterwards, but I did. I'm an idiot. But yeah, I was stuck in the airport for 2 days. The airline did nothing to help. I think it was China Southern, or was it China Airways? Either way, they were not remotely interested in helping anyone in terms of a hotel accommodation or anything like that. No information on where the next flights would be. No help, you know, staying. No help for anything, basically. There was nothing. I was stuck in that airport for 2 days. They kept mucking about in terms of loading planes up to take stuff off, and then they wouldn't take off, and then you had to get your bags again. But no one could speak English, so they couldn't tell you which baggage carousels, you know, your bags were on and things, so you had constant stress. Constant scams, people trying to scam you for this and that. I lost 40 pounds in a scam with this guy who reckoned he could help me with accommodation. Someone tried to pick my bag while I was sleeping. Because I spent the 2 days, I slept in one of the VIP lounges. You could, at night, you could pay them, I think it was equivalent to £20, and you could sleep in there. Because you couldn't get a hotel. I mean, couldn't really leave the airport, because you didn't know when your flight was going to be. And it was awful. Saw some awful things. There was an old lady, I don't know how old she was, she looked like 110. Obviously she wasn't, but this old Chinese lady, I think it was on the second day, they'd loaded the plane up, and then they'd unloaded it again, because it couldn't take off because of the snow. So we had this mad rush to get the suitcases, and she got knocked over. And people just stepped over her to get to her bags. I've never seen anything like it for my life. And I'm watching this, and I thought, I've got to help her. But she's not going to speak a word of English, she won't know what I'm doing. And thankfully, before I got there, the security guard and someone else helped her up. But there were about 10, 15 people just stepped over her to get to the carousel. And having seen that, on top of all the other crap I'd put up for the 2 days, in terms of the no support from the airline, no, you know, people constantly trying to scam me for this and for that. I mean, people coming up to you. It was terrible. Taxi drivers, like, I mean, one of the days, to kill my time, I'd go between the 2 terminals because I had a bus route. And one day I was out, like, in the snow waiting for this bus to come. A taxi driver comes along, says he's going to take me. I said, I only go in the other terminal. He said, like, I'll take you. I said, well, I'll wait for the bus. Oh, no, there is no bus. There is no bus, not in this weather. I said, well, yes, there is. I've got it here. They're going all the time. And they were going in between. And then when I told them, they went, and I drove. So, I mean, everyone was out to scam me that I met in Beijing. I didn't meet a single nice person the whole time I was there. So, eventually, I just said, like, stuff this. I'm going back to Thailand. And the one thing I'd seen, the one guy I'd seen that time I was there, some American guy, he completely lost it. He was kicking off at the desks because he wanted hotel accommodation. And he would not leave. And they were telling him to step aside and he wouldn't do it. And he was kicking the thing and he was getting louder and louder. And in the end, he got hotel accommodation, stopover accommodation. It appeared. Now, I don't know if he did or not. I don't know what standard the hotel was. But eventually they said they would and they took him somewhere. Or we went with these airline staff. But that stuck in my mind. Because one thing was being polite there and asking nicely. You got nothing. I mean, I said to the airline, I want a flight back to Bangkok. And they're like, okay. I said, I just want you to take me back to Bangkok. And they were like, okay, but you'll have to buy another ticket. I said, what do you mean I have to buy another ticket? You haven't been able to get me there. I've been stuck here for 2 days. You should get me back again. They would not budge. There was nothing. So I had to get, in the end, I struck for a flight myself with Thai Airways when I went back. Anyway, I got back a couple of days after that. I got contacted by the school. Because I'd been unable to contact the school, that was another thing. I couldn't contact the school because all my stuff was on Google. I was hoping they'd contact me, but on AOL, but nothing came through. They didn't call me. It was a nightmare. I couldn't get in touch with them. They couldn't get in touch with me. So I got back and I messaged them straight away when I got back, and they called me and said, "Look, what happened? Explain what happened. Why are you back in Thailand?" And I told them, and they were nice as pie. They were like, "We're really sorry this happened to you. You know, this is no good. People should have helped you at the airport. This is not a good, thing for a good impression of China." I was like, "Well, I don't blame you." But foolishly, they convinced me to go back again. They convinced me by saying that they would pay for my flights, that getting back to the UK to get another Z license, a Z visa, and they would fly me to China because they really wanted me and they felt bad about what happened, etc., etc. So I said, "Okay, I will do it." And I went back to the UK, got my Z visa sorted out again, and it was just before Christmas. This was, I can't remember what year. We're probably going back about 10 years now. And it was good because I got to spend Christmas at home. But the day before New Year, I flew to China because they contacted me. They paid for the flights. They booked the flights for me. It was, I think, it was Jet Airways back from Thailand. It was China Southern or something. I can't remember. It was China what Airways, some Chinese airline, going back from Heathrow. And I got back. I arrived there on New Year's Eve. Or the day before New Year's Eve, I can't quite remember. Guy met me at the airport, headmaster. He was a really nice guy. Took me out for dinner with his wife, met his wife. Thought things are going to be okay. It was good. But it was bloody cold. I had no idea that it was going to be as cold. My fault. -30 it was there. It was Daiching. It's like an oil producing city, not a tourist place. Not far from the Mongolian border, and it's bloody cold. Now, fortunately, I had a winter coat from the UK, but it still wasn't warm enough to, let me walk through the streets. Had I gone from Thailand the first time, I turned up in like my t-shirt, I'd have frozen to death. So that bit worked out a bit better for me. And he never warned me it was going to be cold there, when I spoke to the headmaster, when I had the interview and things. But he said to me, that coat won't be warm enough for you. You've got to go to a supermarket down the road. There's a place there that sells them. I'll take you there. Someone will take you there to get a winter jacket. And I thought, nice. Because all these guys walking around and women, you see them in these fur coats. Do you want one of those? I'm looking at them thinking, well, if they're real fur, I don't want one of them. But anyway, I thought I'll get a winter jacket, something padded, because I just had like a duffel coat kind of thing. Nice one, aquascutum, but there you go. Wasn't built for that weather. Not that cold. Because it literally was so cold. You could walk on a couple of 100 metres. You could feel your lungs freezing. You had to wrap a scarf around your head. Anyway, we had dinner. Took me back to the place. It was not the accommodation I was promised. It was basically a dormitory. I mean, I had my own room, but these were offices that had been converted into rooms. It was not the nice little apartment they'd sent me pictures of. He said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, it's not where I'm supposed to be staying." Came out with this cock and bull story. "Oh, I'm sorry, this is where everyone stays, This is what it is. Those pictures, that's the agents conjuring all this kind of stuff." And I was very much of the attitude, I don't care. This is fine. I just need somewhere to stay. I had my own room, little bathroom, a washing machine in there. It wasn't nice, it wasn't great. I mean, it was okay, relatively comfortable. I'll do it. He said the next day, he said, we'll come out, it's New Year's Eve, or we'll come out and we'll take you out for New Year's Eve. Never turned up. Now, this is going back nearly 10 years, so I can't remember the exact dates and things. But basically, I was stuck in that place for about 2 weeks in total. No one ever came when they said they were going to come. I didn't hear from anyone for 2 or 3 days. I'm just sitting there waiting, didn't know if I was going to be teaching English or what. Because it was the holidays, all the other teachers that lived there had gone off to see the Great Wall of China and all this kind of stuff. And there's one other guy, an Australian alcoholic. His wife and his daughter were living in the same place. Everyone else was away, or they were Chinese. And the people that worked on the reception out there couldn't speak a word of English. So I got talking to him. He told me, I said, "Well, this ain't great." He said, "Why are you here? Everyone's away." I said, "Well, because they got me here." And he said, "Well, they just want you here, because of there's no teaching until the school starts. You won't get paid for this. They just want you here to be sure you're here. So of course that pissed me off straight away. So I got onto the headmaster. He wasn't answering the calls, couldn't get hold of him. So in the end I went to the reception. I kicked up a big fuss one day. I said, look, I want to get him here or I'm leaving. Then he came. I had some problems with the internet, he sorted those out. I said to him, look, confronted him, what's happening in terms of this pay? Am I getting paid for being here or not? And he's like, well, we're not sure about it. And I said, how can you not be sure? You're the headmaster. So anyway, he could see I wasn't happy. So he told me I was going to get paid for it. And he apologised. I said, look, I'm not happy. It's like been 3 or 4 days here. You said you were going to come around New Year's Day. I've not heard from anyone. I don't know what I'm doing. He said, oh, tomorrow you will teach a sample class or a demonstration class to some other teachers. Someone will come and collect you. And you'll do that and then we'll get you some teaching. So, well, fine. Next day, no one turned up. 2 days later, these 2 girls turned up and said, we've come to take you to do this class. Now, by this stage, I was quite laissez-faire. I wasn't happy with the weather and things, but I thought I'm being paid, you know. I'll just chill. I did a bit of reading, you know. Couldn't really watch anything on your laptop or whatever because the internet connection was terrible there. Couldn't really do Skype calls, but I was just chilling, you know, waiting to whatever, you know, get paid for doing nothing, I thought. So they picked me up, took me there. I did the demonstration lesson. They'd given me a lesson plan and that. Well, they told me to plan a lesson for beginners, you know, a first lesson or whatever. I did that. Then the wife, who's the wife of the guy who's teaching me, the headmaster, said, how you getting on? I said, I'm fine. So I'm a bit bored, but I don't, you know, it doesn't matter. I'm getting paid, you know, it's one of those things. She says, oh no, you won't get paid. Because you only get paid, you haven't any students yet. So I'm like, oh, wait a minute. When will I get the students? When is this going to happen? And she's like, well, it will be in 2 weeks. And I said, well, why am I here then? What the hell am I here for? Because I've been here approaching a week now with nothing. I said, anyway, I've been told I'm getting paid. She said, who by? I said, your husband. She said, oh, no, that's not right. So I said, well, get him on the phone now then. I want to speak to him. So the rain's coming down now. She might hear a bit of noise. So I don't think I spoke to him then. But about 2 days later, he came to see me. And he said, what's the problem? And I said to him, well, what's going on? Am I getting paid or am I not getting paid? And he said, no, yeah, I told you, you're going to get paid, that's no problem. I said, right, well, when am I going to teach some students? He said, tomorrow we'll get you some adult classes. Because he had some private adult school or whatever will go there. He said, be ready like 9 o'clock in the morning. But you need to get a warm jacket. I'm like, I can't get a warm jacket. I'm not joking, I had tried every day for about the whole week to walk to this. Because there were some shops outside where I was staying. Like a restaurant of some sort, like a grocery shop, a fruit and veg shop and a couple of others. Now this department store, whatever you want to call it, where you get the clothes, was about half a kilometre up the road. Virtually every day I set off to walk there. You couldn't do it. It was so damn cold. I'd make it about 200-300 metres. Actually, it was probably closer to a kilometre than half a kilometre. I couldn't make it. You'd start to feel so cold in your chest and your ears and that, even because I'm like wrapped up in a scarf and that. It was that bloody cold, and you had this cold wind coming here. Every day I was beaten. I could make it as far as the shops to get a little bit of something to eat, you know, some stuff from the greengrocers, and I just come back and that was it. So he said, like, you know, has someone taken you? Why did someone not take you? I'm like, well, what? I don't know why someone's not taken me. I've been asking you, oh, we're so sorry about this. Someone will come tomorrow, we'll take you to get a jacket, we'll take you to the class. Of course, no one turned up again. And about 2 days after that, the students started coming back, not students, sorry, the teachers. Some of them had been like travelling around China. And a couple of them knocked on the door, introduced themselves, got talking to them, explained the situation. Said I wasn't particularly happy about this, but not to worry, you know, at least I was getting paid. They were saying, you won't be getting paid for this. I said, but they told me this, they told you that. So they tell everyone that, you know, it's a constant battle, it's a constant this and that. But you won't get it, you know. You've got to like threaten to leave and really force them into a corner. You'll have to keep doing it to get paid for it. And I took all this on board, and I got back that night, and I thought, I don't need this. I didn't need the money. You know, that's not why I took the job. I took the job to find something to do. I'm at the stage in my life, or I was at the stage in my life then as I am now. I'm not interested in arguing for this and that, you know. And I thought about it all night, and I thought, no, this is no good for me. This is, I'm leaving. So I resolved to leave. But I knew in my mind, if I told them I was leaving, they would rain everything down upon me, trying to talk me. They would promise this, they would promise that. It wasn't going to end well. You know, I'd either capitulate or it would end up in moving to the next level. So I thought the best thing to do is just to go. So I phoned my parents back in the UK, asked them to sort a flight out for me, which they did. And they didn't pay for it for me. They've got access to my funds in the UK, and I couldn't buy anything over there because the internet was so bad. Trying to use your cards on the Chinese, it was just nonsense. Anyway, so they got me these flights. I can't remember where I was connecting to, but I had to go somewhere, and then I could get a connecting flight from Darching, and then it would take me to, and then I would fly to Bangkok. Yeah, couldn't fly directly from Darching. Gozang or Gogong or something. This place I was going to. So that was it. Got all my stuff packed. Waited. It was another 2-day wait. They still didn't come. I got one call the night before, and they called me and asked how it was. And I said to the wife, I said, no, everything's fine. I've been talking to people now. Just wanted to confirm I am getting paid. Now, bearing in mind, she had already told me that I was. The husband was. She said, yes, we are looking into that. We will give you an answer when we see you. So I was like, okay, fine. So I knew it was bullshit, you know, because they kept changing the stories. No, it wouldn't have kept me there anyway, because I was past the stage of, you know, who wants to work for someone when you've got to negotiate every day and you've got to, you know, no, you've got to stand your ground and argue every day. I didn't need it. So I, next day got up, packed all my stuff, told them at the reception desk that I was going to Harbin, because suddenly when they saw me moving suitcases, they jumped out. They could suddenly speak English. Where you going? What's this, father? What's the problem? Oh, we need to speak to the headmaster. I said, no, it's the weekend. I'm going to Harbin, visit a friend of mine, teacher there. No problem. They're like after me. No, they're trying. You must wait. I said, I don't have to wait I don't have to do anything. So I'm being polite and smiling at them. I'm just going through the door. And as I'm getting up to the road, this receptionist comes right now. She's got this telephone. She puts it at the side of my face. And it's the headmaster's wife. And she's like, where are you going? What's happening? And I said, I'm going to Harbin to see a friend. She said, how you do that? How you get a ticket? I said, don't worry, he's sorted it all out. I'm going to Harbin. But when are you going to come back? I said, I'll come back on Monday. Don't worry about it. She said, but we have work for you. I said, at the weekend, are you sure? Anyway, I said, I can't. I promised my friend I'm going to Harbin. And anyway, she wouldn't shut up. So I said, anyway, I'll see you next week. Goodbye. Walked out. Now, this was going to be the dodgy bit, because I was hoping to God I could get a taxi, because I had seen them going up and down. I'd never tried to flag one down before, but I also knew I could potentially die in this cold. So my plan had been, if it got too cold, I'd jump in one of the shops, warm up a bit, and then try again. But heavens had mercy on me. Taxi driver stopped and could understand what I was saying. Took me to the airport. As soon as I got out of the plane, there she is, the wife. Simon, where are you going? So she'd obviously jumped in the car, gone straight to the airport. I mean, they were obviously experienced in people doing runners and trying to stop them. So I said, I've had enough, I'm going home. She said, but you can't do that. We paid for your flights, we did this, we did that. I said, look, I don't care what you did at the end of the day. You've lied to me about being paid. You've lied to me about the accommodation. I've been here 2 weeks, I haven't had any work. You know, it's just constant crap. It's not the way you should treat people. I won't be treated like this. I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. So yeah, but you can't do that because we pay for the flights. Look, I paid for the flights the first time. I've wasted 2 weeks of my time, which you haven't paid me for. Anyway, we argued a little bit like that. Then she says, well, you're breaking your contract. I'm going to call the police. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm breaking my contract? Because I had a Z contract. But a Z visa. So if I had been working there, it would have been legal. But we were supposed to both sign this, and I had to register with the police station. But they'd never done that. That was one of the other things they kept promising me. They were going to come to the accommodation and take me to the police station to get this done. But they didn't come. You know, the whole thing was a joke. Couldn't tell me what class I was teaching, when I was teaching, you know. It was just, everything was deceitful. So she said, I said, what do you mean? She's like, you've broken the contract. If I tell the police, because there was some police in the airport, she said, they will arrest you. She's not going to arrest me for breaking a contract. I haven't broken a contract. We haven't signed a contract. All that's happened is I've got a Z visa. She said, yeah, but we can get you arrested for that. And I said, well, look, you can get me arrested for that. You get me arrested for that, because I'm really pissed off at this stage. And I went and sat down. So she comes over again and says, I'm going to tell the police you stole money. I said, what? So I said, I'm going to tell the police you stole money from us. If you don't give me money now for the tickets, I'm going to tell the police you stole money. So I'm like, I tell you what, I know it was 10 years ago now, because I remember saying to her, I'm 44 years old, don't threaten me with the police. So it would have been, my maths is terrible, it would have been 8 years ago. I said, don't threaten me with the police. Do what you want to do. You know, you want to try and get me arrested, fine, but I'm going to speak straight to the embassy. I'm not having this anymore. And she goes to walk over towards the police, and then she stopped and came back and started giving me ultimatums. So I was like, look, I'm not talking to you anymore. So I'm like turning around like this in a chair. She's going around that side. I'm turning around that side, and she's going to get the police to arrest me for theft, or she's going to go over there and she's going to get the people at the desk to not let me on the flight. And that will worry me, because they will say you've stolen something from us. So I thought, if I don't get on this flight, what the hell do I do then? If I miss this flight, I'm stuck in the cold. I don't know if there's any hotels in Jarching where you're supposed to go for a hotel. You know, it's a nightmare situation, and you could freeze to death out there. I'd have ended up going back with my tail between my legs to the thing and asking for the job back. But eventually, she realised I wasn't going to budge. So she got the telephone, comes back in. I thought she'd gone. She comes back in with the telephone, puts it in the ear. He said, Master, and he's like, what's going on? What's the problem? We can sort this out. I said, no, we can't sort this out. He said, I understand you're not happy, you know, but if you come back to the school, we'll get this sorted out, we'll pay you, we can give you the money, we'll get the contract done. I said, look, mate, there is nothing in the world that's going to make me sign that contract now or stay here. I know what kind of people you are. Your wife's been telling me she's going to get me arrested by the police, she's going to get me kicked out of the country. I'm just looking up at the aircon. I'm not staying here, you know, no chance. So after about a couple of minutes of trying to be nice to me, he said, well, if you don't come back now, I'll get you banned from China. We'll blacklist you. You can't come back for 10 years. You won't be able to teach anywhere. So I'm like, well, I tell you what, mate, do it. I couldn't care less. You know, I've got no intention of coming back here ever again. You know, do your worst, mate. So anyway, that was the end of the conversation. I don't think he hung up. I think we said goodbye. But I said, look, have a word with your wife, because this is getting ridiculous. She's like constantly crawling in my ear. And this guy lived in Australia, so he kind of, for a few years, so he kind of understood Western culture a lot better than she did. So anyway, she took the phone and she walked off. And then she came back 2 minutes later and said, you're a very bad teacher. and then she went off again. So I'm sitting there, I had a dodgy like half an hour, 40 minutes until it came to board our flight. I thought, she'd done something. But she hadn't. I got on the flight. I think it was about a 2-hour flight. It's boring, terrible film, awful lunch, but I didn't care. I was just so happy to be going home and getting away from that place. When I got off at the second airport in China, I thought, this is a breeze, I've escaped. You know, I didn't envisage any problems. And then one thing hit me in the back of my head. When you enter Thailand, you're supposed to have a return flight or a follow-on flight. They're the rules. But never been asked for one before, never been asked for one. In all the times I was there, and after this time I'd never been asked for one, so I don't know. It must happen to some people, it never happened to me. But that was my only concern, getting to Thailand and then not letting me in. But I was at the mindset then, if they didn't let me in, I better talk them around. Or I'd just go back to England. Either way, I'm out of China, which was the important thing. I had a 2-hour wait at the airport. Then we get to board. Was it a 3-hour wait? Doesn't really matter. We get to board. We go up to the desk. I can hear the people in front of me. I don't know what nationality they were. They can't have been Chinese. They look Chinese. Mind, we're going back a long time now. But anyway, it became apparent that they were asking them for visas. They wanted to see their visas to go into Thailand. And I don't know how I knew this. Strange, isn't it, how you remember things differently? Because I think they were Chinese. But why would they have been speaking in English? How did I understand it? Anyway, the point is, I can't remember how, I became acutely aware in the queue that they were checking everyone's visas for for Thailand. And that if you didn't have a visa, you had a problem. But I thought that doesn't apply to me. I'm from a visa-free exempt country. So anyway, it got to me. My only concern was not having a follow-on ticket. You to somewhere else. But they said to me, "Where's your visa?" And I said, "Visa for what?" And like, visa to get into Thailand. And I was nice. I smiled and I was all right with them. I said, "I don't need a visa to go to Thailand. I'm from the UK. We don't have a visa." "No, you must have visa." I said, "No, there isn't a visa." He said, "No, you must have." I'm like, "Well, how can I have something that doesn't exist? You don't need a visa. Can't get a visa going in." And I explained it to them nicely for about the first 10 minutes, because this was going on and on and on. And I wasn't getting anywhere. And they kept telling me no. And a few different people from the airline come and all telling me the same thing, which I know not to be true. Now, had it been in the UK or whatever, I'd have got my phone out and I'd have looked at my Google, but I couldn't use my phone over there. I'd have tried to show them something, So I'm telling them this, saying, "Look, check, check, check." Their English wasn't great. Then it got into my mind, the guy who had kicked off in the airport in Beijing a few weeks before. I thought, well, he got away with it. That made things, because me talking to them nicely wasn't working. It was quite clear they were not going to let me on that flight. So I started getting a bit irate then. I said, "Look, I want to go. You're keeping me here. I'm English. I want to go. You can't stop me." I can't remember what I was saying, but I was, and it still wasn't proving. They kept telling me, "Just stand over there." I said, "I'm not standing over there. The plane's like leaving in 40 minutes. I want to get on the plane." Then as this is progressing, I'm not joking, there is a crowd like getting more and more of these staff and people behind, I can hear them mumbling, all looking at me thinking, why is he behaving like this? I mean, because I can't afford to miss that plane and get stuck there overnight, you know what I mean? So then these people, official people, come over. I don't know if they were police or army or what they were, but one of them was smartly dressed in a suit and the others were like in his uniforms and things. I think they were police or some kind of. They didn't look like private security. I don't know what they were anyway. And one of them opens up, looks in my passport, and he's looking for the visa. "There is no visas, I'm looking for visa." I said, "There is no visa." He said, "No, I'm looking for your visa." I said, "Don't have one," but he was looking for my work visa. And he sees my Z visa. And he says, "This has not been stamped. If you leave, you cannot come back. You need to get this stamped first. You need to go to..." And of course, by this stage, I think in retrospect, he was actually being helpful. But I was that wound up by this stage and convinced it wasn't going anywhere. I said to him, "Look, I don't want to come back here. You couldn't pay me enough money to come back to this shithole," or words to that effect. "I don't want to come back. I don't care about the visa. All I want to do is get on the flight." Now, I can't remember the exact words I used. They would have been along that line. But they sealed my fate. That was it. I was escorted. And when I say I was escorted, it was a strange thing, because they didn't actually take me. They kind of positioned themselves around me and moved, and I moved with them. You know what I mean? And these two guys in uniform and another guy, they took me into, they took me through these doors into this office, and they sat me down in this office. And I won't tell the whole story because it'll go on for ages. But basically, they came in and they started asking me why I was behaving, why I'd said what I said and all that. But of course, by that stage, I'm apologetic. "Oh, look, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say, this and that. I didn't mean to lose my temper. It's just that I need to go to Thailand." And what? Because I was thinking now, these people, because they're like customs officials or whatever they are, immigration officials, they'd understand the rules, but they didn't need a visa. Then, better than the staff at the desk. But they weren't interested in that. They were interested in what I said about China. They couldn't give a monkeys about my restrictions getting into Thailand. So they started saying, you need to apologise for what you said. And I was like, yeah, well I will apologise. And he said, no, you need to write a letter. And they started talking about writing a letter. And I went, what do you mean write a letter? And they said, well, you might have to write a letter to apologise to the People's Republic or something, whatever, because I'd said things and people had seen and it wasn't right what I'd said and all this. And I'm thinking, well, how long? So I said, how long will this take? Where do I write it? And they were talking about if we had to do that they would have to get a translator in to write it. And I'm like, well, my flight was leaving in about 20 minutes at this stage. So I'm like, after about 10, 15 minutes of, 20 minutes of trying to calm things down, I was like, that's it. I've got nothing more to say. I said, look, I want to speak to the embassy. And they carried on, you need to do. I said, no, I want to speak to the embassy. I'm done with this. I want the British embassy. You're keeping me. You're going to stop me from getting my flight. I'm going to get stuck here. So I thought, I've got to get the embassy involved because I could potentially end up getting them. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't think the embassy would pull any weight with them, but I just wanted to make it clear I wasn't playing their games anymore. You know, I wasn't going to do any more. So they left me. Someone was outside though. I don't know if he was guarding me or just standing there or what he was doing, but I could see the silhouette of someone through the door. And I was there for about another 20 minutes. It was past the time of my flight to take off. So, you know, I'd missed it. And I'm sitting there and I was so depressed. I thought, I don't know what's going to happen next. You know, this was just ridiculous and the thoughts that were going through my head. But then they came in. This guy, back, the one, certainly a couple of these guys in uniform. And they told me to get up. And I honestly thought I was going to be arrested then or taken somewhere. Because they didn't say anything to me. They just walked me out. We went down this corridor. And at the end of it, you've got those, you know, flip the doors like you get at the airport, you know, the ones with, they're not solid, they're like big sheets of rubber. And I thought we're going to get through this, the other side, there's going to be a van or something waiting for me. But when we opened it up, we were actually on the runway. And the plane which I was supposed to be getting was like a couple of 100 metres in front of us. And they just walked me to the plane. But I didn't know they were walking the plane, I didn't know what they were walking me to. But when we got there, we like walked up the stairs onto this thing, and I said to them like a couple of times, where are we going? No one said anything. And they like knocked on the door and opened the door, and I turned around to the guy and I said like, because I didn't have my passport or anything, I didn't have my, but just that, you know, because they'd taken that off me, the passport to do the thing. I mean, I had my wallet in it, so I'm like, what happens to my passport? And he just says to me, never, you know, don't come back. And I'm like, I mean, come back where? Where's my passport? So they opened the door and they put me onto the flight, and this stewardess like walked me down, and there was like everyone is looking up at me like this. And then she sits me down, and I said, I need my passport. I've not been in my bags because I didn't know where my bags or anything were. But I couldn't, like, you know, God knows what I'd done if I'd have got up and tried. I mean, I couldn't get out, but anyway, so I'm like, my head's spinning, thinking, what the hell's happening here? Anyway, they buckled me in the seat, and this stewardess is saying like, you know, just calm down, you know, it's okay. It's not fucking okay, is it? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, she went off, she came back, and we took off. And after we took off, I'm sitting there like, I'm waiting to talk to someone. She came back and she gave me my passport. My passport was there. They'd given me my passport and they'd stamped my boarding card. And I said, where's my suitcase? And she was, it's downstairs, it's in there. And I still had my bag, they hadn't taken the bag off me. Everything they'd taken off me, my wallet. She said, it's in the plane. No, I had no idea if it was in the plane or not. But anyway, that was it. They flew me back. I got off in the other end, walked straight through the customs, Sweaty Cup, Sabadi May, to the airport staff, and I was back in Thailand. So happy to be back. I don't think I've ever felt that happy in my life, apart from that moment. But that was it. That was my experience of China. I never want to go back there again. Never. Awful place. Awful. As I say, I'm sure some people, you have a holiday over there, you know, you might have had a marvellous experience. I'm sure parts of it are better than I think it is. But for me, the 2 times I was there, what I saw, the culture, the attitude, the deceit, not for me. Not for me. I never go back. And I genuinely do not know what happened to me, in the sense that, as I said at the beginning, was I deported? I've never been deported from anywhere before. I've never been deported afterwards. I was under the impression if you deport someone, your passport gets stamped with deported. Mine wasn't. Mine wasn't. Was I banned? I imagine I was in terms of work, or blacklisted, but I don't know because I never tried for work again. But certainly the headmaster had made it clear on the phone he was going to blacklist me. And the guy, when I was getting on the plane, the customs guy who said, don't come back or cannot come back. So yeah, I don't think I'm being over dramatic to say I'm banned from China or was banned. Now, when I looked at the blacklisting, because I did a bit of Googling when I got back, if they blacklist you work-wise, you're blacklisted for 10 years, I believe. Can blacklist me for 20 years, you want, I'm never going back there. But I don't know. I don't know. To this day, I don't know whether I was blacklisted work-wise, whether I was officially banned by the Chinese People's Republic. I've got no idea. And if I was, how long the ban rings for. And I've got no idea if I was deported. But I was as good as, I guess. But thank God I didn't get the stamp in my passport, because that would probably have screwed up my problems, getting into Thailand. Anyway, there you go. That's my story from China. Sorry if it went on a long time. I tried to keep it short, but you know what I'm like. When I get talking, I can't stop. Anyway, if you've had similar experiences, it would be nice to let me know in the comments. If you think I'm talking crap, don't tell me. If you like the video, smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed, it'd be great if you subscribed. Whether you do, whether you don't, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay safe, be lucky.